by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. This case made a huge change in abortion law, which was ruled unconstitutional, and a state law that banned abortion except to save a life of a mother. I also wanna point out that women who have been wrongly impregnated, possible by rape, did not have the option of getting rid of the unborn baby. I couldn't remember the law, but there was a law that stated that everyone has a right to their own body. Women can choose what they do with it and what goes in and what comes out of it. It never said that they have to carry something in it for 9 months. It is a privilege that they choose to give, not one they should be forced to. Yep. Movements that were against abortion law. They were anti-abortion movement. Their goal is to take away the option of having an abortion to save the life of a baby that possibly might have their life taken away if the mother decides to have an abortion. The issue is that abortion is legal and that they want to bring an end to it so that the rate of abortion lessen. They also want people to know that they're murdering their child in the womb. And also this movement started to speak out when the Roe versus Wade case started on January 22nd, 1973. Why people have abortions? For example, they may be unable to support their child. They contraceptive failure. It might be like unwanted pregnancy. Prevent the birth of a child with a birth of defect. The pregnancy was caused by rape. I would say lack of maturity or independence. I'm gonna point out some abortion laws / policies that were passed. We have the physician and hospital requirement. This is 36 states requires an abortion to be performed by a licensed physician. 19 states require an abortion to be performed in a hospital after a specific point in the pregnancy, and 17 states require the involvement of a second physician after a specific point. Public funding. 16 states use their own funds to pay for all or most medical necessary abortion for Medicaid enrolled in the state. 33 states and the District of Columbia prohibit the use of state funds except in those cases when federal funds are available, when the patient's life is in danger, or the pregnancy is the result of rape or incest, and defense of federal requirement. South Dakota limit funding to case of life endangerment only. We have the coverage by private insurance. 12 states restrict coverage of abortion in private insurance plan. Most often limiting coverage only to when patient life will be in danger if the pregnancy were carried to terms. Most state allows the purchase of additional abortion coverage at any additional cost. We have the refusal. 45 states allows individual healthcare providers to refuse to participate in an abortion, and 42 states allow institutions to refuse to perform abortion, and 16 states of which limit refusal to private or religious institutions. We also have the state mandated counseling. 18 states mandated that individuals be given counseling before an abortion that include information on at least one of the following: the protected link between abortion and breast cancer, which is between 5 states, and the ability of a fetus to feel pain, which is in 13 states, or long-term mental health consequences for the patient, which is allowed in 8 states. And the last but not the least, we have the parental involvement, which 36 states require some type of parental involvement in a minor decision to have an abortion 27 state requires one or both parents to consent to the procedure, and while 10 requires that one or both parents be notified.
Okay, and next I would like to discuss more recent case, which is the Texas abortion law, which has been widely talked about for the past couple of months. And this case outlines that Texas, state law banning most abortions after 6 weeks, meaning that if you want or wanting to look to get an abortion, you can't once you've completed 6 weeks. And statistically, most women do not know until after 6 weeks, which means that most women won't be able to get a legal abortion in Texas, which cuts resources for a lot of women in Texas, and the majority of people placing a concern. Not only is it on abortions, but it's on women's rights, because the discussion affects abortion, which then affects women's reproductive rights, which is a huge issue that many women across the world face, and many women in our own country face. Now I'm going to show you a video that kind of explains the Texas abortion law and how it works and what it means for other states. Because during this research, I found out that a lot of states are wanting to adapt this law to their own state. So this is a video.
At this point, this law videos from USA.
Sorry.
At this point, this law in Texas is by far the most restrictive abortion law on the books anywhere in the nation. It essentially says that once a fetal heartbeat can be detected, that an abortion cannot take place. That's usually around 6 weeks. The reason why the Texas law is in place when all of these other laws have been shot down is because of this enforcement mechanism. Usually when a state passes restrictions on abortion, those restrictions are enforced by state officials. What Texas did was very unusual. It said, all right, the state is not going to play a role in enforcing this law, and instead what we're going to do is we're going to allow private citizens to sue abortion providers and also any entity or person that helps a woman get an abortion. Think about the Uber driver, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? Anybody who is involved in helping this happen would potentially be liable to a private lawsuit, and the penalties start at $10,000. What that's done is it's sort of put a freeze on abortions, which is why they're not happening after 6 weeks in Texas right now. The Supreme Court basically said, look, we got some concerns about this Texas law, but we can't stop it because no private party had brought a lawsuit yet. The courts don't stop laws. They stop people from enforcing laws. So that's what happened in early September, and the law went into effect. And what has since happened is that the Justice Department now has a new lawsuit. It has the ability to get around some of these procedural questions about who can be sued because it can sue Texas directly, and that's what it did. There have already been some conservative state lawmakers who have said that they are going to look to pass a similar law. I think these states will wait to see what the Supreme Court ultimately does with this enforcement issue. The problem that conservatives might have is that progressives can do this too. And there has already been talk about, well, we can't pass a law that violates the Second Amendment, but what if we passed a law that said people who support gun restrictions can launch private lawsuits against people with certain types of handguns? I think that there is a broad understanding that this opens the door to some potential problems for both sides.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these other videos from US.
So as mentioned, a lot of states are wanting to adapt this law, which could greatly affect women across America. And it leaves a lot of people with lack of resources and amenities, because financially a lot of people are not able to afford a flight or traveling to another state to get an abortion. And this will primarily impact women of lower income, which is a huge issue. That concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.